They laughed as they kicked her out of the lobby, not knowing she owned the building they were standing in. It was just after 7 p.m. when Dana Whitaker stepped into the grand lobby of the Halston Regency Hotel, suitcase in hand, rain still clinging to her coat. She looked tired but composed, dressed in sleek black slacks and a simple blazer, the kind of woman who turned heads. Not because she demanded attention, but because she carried herself like someone who didn't need to. She'd flown in from D.C. for a surprise inspection. The Halston was her latest acquisition, one of 5 boutique hotels she'd acquired through Whitaker Holdings, a firm she built from the ground up. But tonight, she didn't come as the CEO. She came as a guest. The front desk agent barely glanced up when she approached. "I have a reservation under Dana Whitaker," she said politely. He frowned. "Are you sure? We don't have anything under that name." She pulled out her phone. "I got a confirmation this morning." Behind her, 2 security guards shifted. One whispered to the agent, and suddenly his expression changed. Irritated now. "Ma'am, we've had a lot of issues with people walking in off the street pretending to be guests. I'm going to have to ask you to leave," he said. She blinked, stunned. "Excuse me? I don't have time to argue. Either step aside or I'll call someone to escort you out." People in the lobby turned to watch. Couple snickered. One of the security guards stepped forward, placing a hand near her arm. Dana didn't move. "You're making a mistake," she said quietly. But they didn't care. 9 minutes later, she was standing outside in the rain, suitcase beside her, while the doors shut behind her. What none of them knew was that she had the power to fire every person in that building, and she was about to do just that. Dana didn't cry. She didn't yell. She simply stood beneath the awning, raindrops sliding off the brim of her hat, and pulled out her phone. First, she dialed her executive assistant. "It's Dana. Put the Halston staff on emergency conference in 20. Everyone, managers, concierge, front desk, all of them." Then she called the regional director. "Tell them not to lock up. I'll be back inside shortly, with a key card they can't deny." 15 minutes later, a sleek black town car pulled up to the curb. The driver hopped out, holding a hotel-issued umbrella. "Ms. Whitaker," he said, opening the door. "The owner's entrance is ready." She didn't hesitate. Through the side entrance, past the staff elevators, she walked straight to the executive suite, where her name, Dana Whitaker, owner, was engraved in brass beside the door. Her fingerprint opened the access panel. Her presence lit up the security feeds. On the conference call now streaming through her iPad, 12 department heads stared into their webcams. Her voice was ice. "I walked into one of my hotels tonight and was kicked out in front of guests, mocked by your staff, and treated like a trespasser. None of you recognized me, which is fine, but you didn't even bother to listen. And for that," she paused, "you're all officially suspended, effective immediately, pending full investigation and retraining. The front desk agent and security staff from tonight, they're terminated. As of 10 minutes ago." Murmurs exploded through the line. Dana didn't flinch. "Your name badges may say Halston, but this hotel represents me. And I don't run businesses that humiliate people based on how they look walking through a door." Her finger hovered over the screen. "I'll be conducting interviews myself in the morning. If you think kindness is optional in hospitality, don't bother showing up." She ended the call. And finally, she exhaled. By morning, word had spread like wildfire. Employees trickled into the staff lounge whispering, eyes darting toward the executive floor. Some had seen the footage. Dana standing silently in the rain while the security guard pushed her suitcase toward the curb. Others heard about the overnight firings, but couldn't believe it until they saw the empty front desk. Dana was already there, seated in a small conference room usually reserved for investors. No assistants. No executives, just her, a notepad, and a coffee she poured herself. One by one, employees were called in. Some came nervous, some came defensive. But what shocked them most was Dana's tone. Calm, firm, but not angry. "I don't care what color my skin is, or what car I pulled up in," she told them. What I care about is whether this hotel treats every human being with dignity. If you're here to serve guests, you start by listening, not judging. A few employees broke down in tears, ashamed. Others, inspired, vowed to be better. But not everyone passed. By lunchtime, 6 more were let go, not out of revenge, but to protect the standard she believed in. And as Dana stepped into the main lobby, now eerily quiet, she called for an all-staff meeting. With every eye on her, she said, "You don't have to recognize me, but you will recognize how people should be treated in this place. This hotel doesn't belong to me alone. It belongs to every guest who walks through that door and hopes they matter." And then, with quiet fire in her voice, she added, "Last night, I was treated like a problem. Today, I'm here as the solution." There was no applause, just silence, deep and heavy, the kind that comes when people know they've just witnessed a shift they won't forget. Weeks later, the Halston Regency had transformed. The front desk staff now greeted every guest with warmth, not judgment. Security wore new uniforms and underwent empathy training. And above the concierge desk, a new plaque was installed. "Excellence starts with respect. Dana Whitaker, owner." But the biggest change wasn't the furniture or policies. It was the people. Dana didn't just rebuild her team, she led by example. She held weekly check-ins, paid for hospitality workshops, and implemented a hiring initiative focused on inclusion and upward mobility. Those who once looked down on her now looked up to her. One afternoon, as she walked through the lobby, a young intern stopped her. "Ms. Whitaker?" he asked shyly. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course. Why didn't you just yell that night? Why go through all this trouble?" She smiled. "Because change doesn't come from shouting," she said. "It comes from proving who you are, even when no one's watching." The intern nodded slowly, then added, "You fired half the staff with a whisper." Dana chuckled. "No. I reminded them who they were supposed to be. The rest was their choice." That moment went viral days later after someone recorded it. Headlines followed. "Black CEO redefines power with grace, not rage." But Dana didn't care about headlines. She cared about the next woman who walked into a place like that. Tired, soaked in rain, unrecognized, and left feeling like she mattered. And because of her, that woman would never be shown the door again.